Through most of my early years, I was very focused on understanding the unified theory, the theory of everything. And I became one of the founders of what is called string theory. So I spent many years learning this thing, creating the physics behind these things. But then I was in the Army, and that changed my life again, because there was a war going on. People were dying. Several hundred GIs were dying every week in Vietnam. And I had to ask myself a simple question. What do I want to die for? And I said to myself, I have all this knowledge, and it's all for nothing. I can calculate from first principles on a sheet of paper the properties of atoms, the molecules in the air, the sun. I could calculate the nature of stars for nothing, because we're all going to die in Vietnam. Well, fortunately, the war was winding down. So I said to myself, I should do something. I mean, if you have all this knowledge, why does it have to die with you? Why can't you tell people that knowledge is power, that knowledge is democracy? It's about empowerment. But then we have to make sure that the knowledge we give students is useful for them. You know, sometimes people come up to me and say, Professor, this is useful. I can use this information. How does a TV set work? Or an X-ray machine? Or any of the things that you see around us are so mysterious. The average person goes through life clueless, absolutely oblivious. We were surrounded by technology. Technology is everywhere. But how does it work? I don't know. You just push the button, right? But one of these days, this knowledge will affect your career, and it'll affect your health, and it'll affect your life. Because that's where wealth comes from. Wealth comes from science and technology. For most of human history, from the cavemen and cavewomen days to the present time, the average person lived between 30 and 35 years of age. Life was not pretty at all. But what happened? Science and technology happened, but science and technology comes in waves. The first wave was in the 1800s. We physicists worked out steam power. That gave us the locomotive, the engine, all of a sudden machines in factories, because we physicists understood the energy of coal and the energy of steam. Then we physicists worked out electricity, magnetism. That lit up our cities. All of a sudden we had television. All of a sudden we had radio. Third was computers. We physicists worked out the transistor and the laser. That gave us the internet and gave us the computer. And now, most people don't know this, but we're going through the fourth stage, the next stage. And we don't want to leave people behind. The fourth is artificial intelligence and biotechnology. Science at the molecular level. And so science is not going to go backwards. We have to learn these things as each revolution hits us. And that's why I want to teach people why this is important. Because this is going to affect their job. It's going to affect their income. It's going to affect their lifestyle. It's going to the way they function in society. Well, when the telephone first came in 100 years ago, go to the library and read the editorials denouncing the telephone. People wrote saying the telephone is awful, it's mechanical. We're not going to talk to our children anymore. We're going to talk to this voice, this mysterious voice in the ether. How mechanical, how dry, how sterile. Where's the human touch? Well, you know something? The critics were right. We don't talk that much to our kids. We don't spend that much time one-to-one conversation. But you know something? We love it. We love the telephone because it expanded our horizon by a factor of 100. And does it mean that things get less human in some sense? Yeah, but we have to change the definition of what is human. You know, mothers and fathers sometimes email me and they say that their children spend too much time on the internet. And I tell them, look, when the telephone first came out, there was a new etiquette that was formed. If somebody calls you, how long before you have to call them back? How long do you stay on the phone? Do you answer the phone every time it rings? The whole etiquette got started when the telephone was created. Now we have the internet. Children have to know the etiquette. It's good that they're online because all their friends are online. That's the future, folks. Get used to it. But your kids have to be socialized. That's the key.